Welcome to Allies or Enemies, where we review board games with a focus on how they work for 2 players. This time, we are looking at Barenpark, a tile placement game designed by Phil Walker-Harden. Barenpark is a fairly light complexity game for 2 to 4 players that plays in about 30 minutes, where players use polyomino, aka Tetris tiles, to create a conservation park for bears. Koala bears, panda bears, polar bears, and classic honey-loving, picnic-stealing brown bears will all have a home in your adorable little park. But before we get too into it, let's take a look at how those bears get into your park.
Barenpark is a sleek, clever design that is weirdly satisfying. Each turn you will place one tile in your park and then collect a new tile or tiles based on where you placed it. Green wheelbarrows get you small tiles with rivers and bathrooms and food and drink shops. White trucks get you slightly larger tiles with homes for your various bears. Orange cranes get you the largest tiles with bear-filled outdoor enclosures. And construction people get you new park sections to help you expand further. There is also one sectioned off square in each park segment that you can't fill until you fill every space around it. But once you do, you get a little bear statue to remind you of your success. All of this is fun already, but what makes it a game is that all the bear tiles and statues have points on them, and those points decrease as others take them, so you want to be quick. Also, the big ones come in various shapes that are all 1 each, so you want to make sure you get the good ones before you get stuck with something you're never going to be able to use. The game ends as soon as one player fills their 4th park square, then everyone counts their points and looks lovingly at the cool parks they all made.
Barenpark is just as good at every player count. To add players, you simply add a few more tiles to the green and white piles and a few more bear statues, and you're ready to go. Because you only place 1 tile per turn, turns are quick, so even at 4, the game zips along at a solid clip. But at 2, it feels like you are basically always playing, which is really engaging. You place your koala bear tile, and then pick up that polar bear enclosure you have exactly the right space for, and then 10 seconds later you are sliding it in perfectly to its home to very satisfyingly fill your square, and you then get another cool bear piece that you get to play a few seconds later. It is such a satisfying rhythm with 2 that we have yet to play just 1 game in a sitting.
Barenpark really is enormously replayable. There's an undeniable pleasure in putting a shape in the right place and satisfaction in looking at your park when you're all finished, which honestly is enough to bring players back. However, Barenpark does add some cool little elements that switch it up just enough from game to game. First off, each of the park tiles are different, which means you can't go for the same shapes every time. Then there are the special goals. 3 of these come out each game from a sizable pile and have players racing for things like the first 3 koala tiles or clumping 6 amenities into a group. It gives you a bit more focus as you build your park and makes for a fun little game within the game. But if you want even more, there is the Bad News Bears expansion that adds huge grizzly bear tiles along with extending your park to a 5th exit tile. And much like the bear parks in Ogdenville and North Haverbrook, it adds a monorail, which zigzags through your green amenity squares, scoring points. The expansion is great if you want more complexity, but it does slow things down just a bit. We tend to use just the grizzlies and the 5th tiles, but it's nice to have those monorails when you want that extra dimension.
There is a distinctively Euro look to the games that Lookout Games produces, and Barenpark does fit into that style, but it certainly isn't as dry as most. Mostly because it is filled with bears, and bears are great. But there is also a bit of cheekiness hidden in it, such as little penguins in the river and silly drawings on the main board. Speaking of the main board, it does a great job as a core hub for the game, with plenty of space and clearly marked areas for everything. The park boards also work well, and the sizing of everything is designed just perfectly so it all fits together for maximum satisfaction. The one negative would be the box organizers that make no sense at all, but they are easily thrown away and unnecessary anyway.
You can probably tell, but we love this game. It might even crack into my overall top 10. It's light, it can be explained in a couple of minutes, and you can fit 3 games of it into an hour, but there is a satisfying strategy underneath as you need to choose between expanding your park, chasing those goals, or grabbing that polar bear tile before your opponent so you can pick up those extra couple of points that could swing the game. And planning ahead for those big pieces can pay off big. It also lends itself well to close games. It's rare that there's more than a 10-point swing between us, and even if you lose, you most likely still made a really cool park. This one is a straight up must-have for anyone just getting into the hobby, but even for vets, it's a relaxing break that still tickles your brain. For my money, this one's knocking on the door of becoming a modern classic. And that is it. We'd love to hear your thoughts if you've played Barenpark, or if you have any other tile placement games that you might recommend. And please do like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you all next time for another game.